Hey guys, it's Ben Rycroft from It's Called Football. This is our pre-game show, yet unnamed. I'm here with Mr. 24th Minute, Dwayne Rollins. How you doing, Dwayne?
I'm well. We're here in the GO Train tunnel that leads to BMO Field. Right. Toronto fans know this place well, and about a week today after you watch this will be filled with red. First, we got the Columbus game with 1,500 TFC supporters down in Columbus today.
Rumor is 1,500 fans are going down to Columbus this weekend, make all sorts of noise, and really put good energy into that place. We just talked to Jack DePoe from the Red Patch Boys earlier. He's going to give you all the information a little bit later in the show. But first, what we want to do is get right into it. Dwayne, tell us some of the matchups.
Yeah, Columbus is, of course, the defending MLS Cup champions. It's going to be a big test for Toronto, but so was last week, and Toronto came through. Columbus did look a little vulnerable last week, and they have some key players out. Chad Marshall was the defending MLS Defender of the Year last year. He did not have a great game in Houston. No one really did. They didn't look great. It was a terrible pitch down there, but you know, still, they might be vulnerable. They might be suffering a bit of a championship hangover. Robbie Roberts is out with an injury. Freddie Hedgick is gone on international duty. They're going to have some rookies in key positions. It's always a challenge in MLS through depth in Columbus, although one of the deeper teams is no different.
Obviously, the big thing this week is internationals, missing internationals. We got Amado Guevara away, Robinson away from Toronto. Who is Columbus missing, and how is this going to affect their game?
Hedgick, the right back, is gone, and he was a key player to the championship team last year. That's the only player they are missing through international. Oh, sorry, they are missing a couple other lesser players that are playing for not for the United States, for smaller countries. That's a key player. The back line, anytime you lose a player off your back line, it's difficult to replace. Toronto saw that last year in the Chivas game where they were starting the Red Scout and an amateur player from a beer league into the game. So it's not quite going to be that bad with Columbus, but it will be a challenge for them to deal with the international players lost like it will be for Toronto.
All right, so let's talk about that a bit. Obviously, the emphasis on this game is going to be in the midfield. We're missing Robinson, we're missing Guevara. Here's what I'd like to see happen. I'd like to see Vidi come on, have D-Row move back to the mid, and have Syria move forward. And that means, obviously, Mr. Velez. So tell us a little bit about Toronto, how the lineup's going to work about.
Yeah, Sam Cronin, with the rookie that played last year and played well by all accounts, he should probably start again, and he will be a key contributor as well. He may play the holding role. That's actually his natural position. He may replace Robinson directly. The lineup you suggested was to move Adrian Serio up, who of course is also that's a natural position for him. We don't know what they're going to do. John Carver does favor playing a similar lineup after a win, and the win was last week, so we may see a similar lineup again. Carl Robinson is a big loss. He always is. He doesn't get all of the fanfare with the fans. He plays a really not a dramatic game. He doesn't get in the highlights a lot, so he will be tough to replace. But I think Cronin, he showed last week that he can get it done.
Let's talk about goaltenders. Greg Sutton missing last week. Missing possibly again this week. Now you got to assume that his leg is probably injured, or his hand is probably injured still. Is it not, or is it? Stephen Fry is the starter.
Again, John Carver's philosophy last year was to keep players in. If they won the game, they would stay in. So it looks like Stephen Fry may be starting again. I don't know whether Sutton is lost his job permanently. I don't think he has. Greg Sutton is a great shot blocker, and I think TFC needs him in there. Stephen Fry wasn't really tested last week against the Wizards, and the two long shots that did come his way, although they were tremendous blasts, he didn't stop them. So I would like to see Greg Sutton get in, but I do think Stephen Fry will.
I'm of the same mind. I thought Fry was a little bit off-center last game. First game in the MLS, you're going to have that as a young guy. Doing well, though, to get himself in shape. Doing well to impress week to week, so obviously he's won Carver's mind at this point. We'll see. But another guy that we expected last week to be playing was Pablo Vidi, and Pablo Vidi was on the bench. So is he going to be in this week or not?
I would hope. They're paying him an awful lot of money to sit on the bench in MLS. And that was an odd person to leave out of the lineup last week. Di Rosario doesn't really like to play up front, and that's where he did start. There was some problems in Houston with him playing up there and having some resistance towards doing so. He's more of a supporting forward role. So I would think that the problem was likely that he maybe wasn't fully fit. Yeah, he did come into camp a little later than the rest of the guys. That's what I'm thinking, so I do think that we might at least see a run out there. We didn't see him at all last week. Of course, we saw Dan Dicchio come on late, And I think that some people have some questions of why they would have brought Dicchio in instead of maybe.
At this point, is that going to be his role for the season? I mean, you talked a little bit about fitness with Vidi, but obviously we had Siri at the back who concerns were about his fitness as well. So where does Dicchio fit into all of this? Because it's really difficult to understand what kind of a plan that they have for a guy like this with so many strikers up front and so many talented forwards up front. I honestly feel like D'Ro's better in the mid. What do you think?
I think D'Ro's definitely better in the midfield, playing sort of a rover role. Dicchio is a guy, if you saw him in his 1 minute of credited action last week, he made 3 key plays in the defensive end to clear the ball. Cleared the ball out of a corner, he did a couple other great clearances. He can play that defensive role. He doesn't get credit for it, but he has the veteran presence. A lot of people were surprised when they brought in a striker for a striker that late, clinging to a 1-goal lead, but that is what they were thinking. Dicchio has the height, he has the ability to play the ball with his head, and he has the veteran presence to stay calm and controlled during those last critical minutes, which of course was a big problem for Toronto last year.
And let's go back to Schelotto real quick. This is a guy who's probably one of the more talented midfielders in the league. What does Toronto need to do to break this guy down and hold that midfield? Where honestly, this is where the game is going to be won today, in the midfield.
Yeah, I'm not sure they can hold him out. I mean, he will get a scoring chance. He will get his opportunities. He may even score. One of the things they can do is they can make sure that they don't give up cheap free kicks in that 20, 30-yard range, because he's deadly with those. But the key, of course, and this is a bit cliche, but the key is always to play your own game. Right. To have Di Rosario control, to have the ball just on the Toronto foot, because the best defense, another cliche coming for you, is have possession.
Okay, so let's talk one last thing. The defense of Columbus. How are they going to do against the Toronto offense, who has been drastically improved this year?
Yeah, I mean, Columbus, that was one of their strengths. People talk about Schelotto, and he certainly was a key component to their championship team, but really Chad Marshall and the Defender of the Year award and the rest of their back line was also a major component. So I don't think Columbus is really worrying too much about the Toronto attack. It will be up to Toronto to break it down and to get those through balls and to get the Di Rosario creating.
But let's talk one last thing about the fans. How many people are going down today?
I think we have about 1,500. I know that the supporters groups combined had around 1,000. No one quite knows what the independent groups are going to bring, but I've heard anywhere from 1,200 to 1,800. Even some people saying 2,000. I don't think it'll be that high. And Jack Poe from Red Patch, he'll offer a little more insight. We talked to him a little bit earlier, and we'll take you there now.
That's right. We're going to head right on over. See you guys.